Over the years, Nomad Capitalist and yours truly personally have been associated with a lot of cheaper places to live, cheaper places to invest. And we've talked about that not only because they're cheap, but because they offer what I believe is a great value and they have some kind of up-and-coming nature to them. And I have gotten some critiques about that, calling me everything from a cheap Charlie to all kinds of other things. And so today I want to set the record straight why I believe that cheaper places to live can actually be great for wealthy people. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. I'm the author of the book Nomad Capitalist, the founder of the company Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. And you can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. Now, for many years now, we've been talking about highly affordable places in what you would call emerging markets, everything from the country of Georgia, country of Malaysia, Colombia, and others that we've become to be known for. And it's very interesting because anytime I go to many of these places, people come up to me and say, hey, I came to check out Georgia or open a bank account or even move here or fill in the blank of the country because I first heard about it on Nomad Capitalist, which is deeply inspiring to me. And so I think what some people have looked at is they say, well, you talk to these wealthy 7- and 8-figure earners, people with very high net worths, and on the other hand, you're saying, move to Georgia. Is that something that a wealthy person is really going to want to do? And today I'm going to explain a couple of reasons why I think these more up-and-coming places actually do work for wealthy nomad capitalists and why they've worked for me. Now, one of the things that I have talked about over the years is that I do not live full-time in one place. We've put out content for people who want to live in one place. Where would you want to live? And quite frankly, if you said, live the rest of your life in Tbilisi and you can never leave, yeah, I would probably have to give some thought to that. I have great friends there, very easy to meet some great people. I feel really at home. Is it a place where someone like myself who wants more of a hustle and bustle, who wants people who are building big businesses around him at times, is that the kind of place that I want to spend the rest of my life? No. But what I created was the Nomad Capitalist Trifecta, and we've talked about different modifications of that over the years where you could spend your time divided up between 3 different places over the course of the year. Some people have taken it as far to have 6 different places over the course of the year, and there's different ways to adapt your time to where I think an up-and-coming place that is cheaper really has a place in anyone's schedule. Now, certainly there are people who I talk to who they say, listen, we only want to be in top flight jurisdictions. We want to be in London. We want to be in Dubai. We want to be in Singapore. Put together a plan for us that harnesses the tax-friendly aspects of those places, and that's where we're going to spend our time. And that's fine. But the first thing that I really like about these cheaper places, not all of them, but the ones that we talk about, is you can feel more personal freedom. This is something that you can't always tell from statistics. And so I'll give you an example of a couple weeks ago. I flew in back to Belgrade, Serbia from Dubai. Now, Dubai, certainly very upscale place, a lot going on, beautiful people, lots of amenities, lots of consumer conveniences. Things just work. Perhaps not quite as well as you would think they would, given the brand name, but things work. So why would I want to go back to Belgrade? And I'll tell you that there's a great feeling in a place like Belgrade, and again, others, of people just don't want to bother you. You go to Dubai and there are many rules. It's the summer, people are going to the Dubai Mall, they're going to other malls. The malls have certain places you need to walk, you got to do this, you got to do that. You're walking around town, you're always a bit more concerned. Am I supposed to cross down the traffic light? Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? Can I kiss my spouse? Can I hold? There's so many different things. And okay, Dubai is a unique example, but you look at London, you look at New York, lots of rules, lots of laws, lots of regulations, and these up-and-coming places, even if you can't see it in writing, even if you can't point to, well, here's the law they have and here's the law they don't have, there is what I call a soft feeling of personal freedom. You just feel like you can be yourself, you feel like you can walk. Right now, you see people who are just more at ease given the current state of the world, and restaurants are working and people are out and things are happening, and you don't feel nearly as restricted. It's really hard to explain in terms of here's the statistical evidence. But what I can tell you is when you fly into the UAE, right now there's a lot of lines. Okay, you flew in the wrong airline, i.e. not one of ours, so go over and get your COVID test and go here, and then the guy's upset you spoke 2 decibels louder than you normally do, and then you go to the line and they check your test. Listen, it's what you'd expect from a normal airport. When you go to Belgrade, all right, great, passport out, all right, what's this? Keep moving. There's just a feeling where people just let you be, and I think that's a very valuable thing. And you get that from places where, things are just more at ease. So cheaper places, more up-and-coming places, often offer more personal freedom. With that, I believe, comes another benefit of at least spending some time in these places, and that is that there are many different opportunities. Now, while I'm talking about Belgrade, I will mention a business that I have mentioned a couple times before. There's a website called City Expert in Serbia where they have one of the best websites in the world, quite frankly, comparable to US and any other kind of standard about buying real estate. Now, I had someone recently who wanted to buy property in Serbia. We don't do a lot of that, but they said, we really want to be in Serbia. It matches our criteria. Help us find a property. And they had found properties on this beautiful website. We were able to find them a deal. I don't remember the numbers at this point. I think I've talked about it in a recent video. Something like 30 or 40,000 euros better is what I believe the deal we got them. So not necessarily the best deals, but beautiful website. If you just want to buy a property to live in and you just want it to be easy, this website is great. Quite frankly, that is a business that a lot of these other up-and-coming markets should have. You go to a country like Georgia, even a country like Colombia, and even a country like Malaysia, for heaven's sakes, just such a country that's wealthier than many European countries. Mexico, there's a lot of these markets that aren't even that emerging where, especially in English, but even locally sometimes, it's really difficult to find real estate or order a taxi or all kinds of other different things. And so if you go there and you see, I've said from day one, now, if you have $100 million, maybe you're not looking to start a real estate agency, or maybe you are. Maybe you want to start the Uber of all these up-and-coming places where they don't have it, and people are still, sending WhatsApp messages to get taxis in some cases, in some of these smaller places. Maybe you want to start some kind of other business, but there's a lot of opportunities where you can go in these markets and start a great business. I still think the quality of life is decent. Is it at Dubai or New York levels? No. And in a sense, for now, that's a nice thing to have, to be able to just detach a little bit. But if you are an entrepreneur and you're looking for your next deal, I think there are a lot of opportunities. The third thing that I really like about these more up-and-coming places, and again, not every place that's cheap is up-and-coming, but what I like about these up-and-coming places is you are watching the world unfold before your eyes, and you're watching, again, opportunities unfold that maybe you can't participate in at all times, but you're really watching it. One of the first things I loved when I went to Hong Kong for the first time 12 or 13 years ago was just watching, this is where Asia is unfolding. Now, Hong Kong is certainly a very developed market. Hong Kong has certainly changed a lot in the last 12 or 13 years. But what I loved back then was watching what I felt was the future. Now, is Eastern Europe going to take over the world in the same way that China has? No. But I think it's very interesting when you look at the emergence of South America. It's been one of my best investments in the last year and a half is Latin America. When you look at the emergence of Africa, and you go to places like Cairo, and you go to places elsewhere in Africa, and you can just watch it unfolding. I think there's a lot of watching the world develop before your eyes, which to me is a very fascinating thing. One of the other things I like about these places, number 4, is you can oftentimes get a lot more privacy. Now, again, I talk with these places, so when I go somewhere, people come up and they say hello, and it's very nice. But for the average person, it's nice. You're probably not going to run into too many people in Bogota, Colombia, and so you can be somewhat anonymous, something that a lot of successful people want to do in a way that's harder to do in your home country. So I think that's definitely a benefit as well. The other thing, number 5, that I like about these countries and these places is you can really detach yourself from social norms, and as I've always talked about, figure out what it is that you want out of life. If I were to move to Monaco, for example, I'm going to say, hey, everyone in Monaco is buying a really nice car. And even though I don't particularly want a car, my thoughts on that are somewhat evolving, but I don't really want to own a car. I like living in the best location. I like walking where I want to go. I like being around the things that I want. I live in a certain kind of bubble in a city. And then if I want to go further out, I'll rent a car, I'll get a taxi, I'll have a friend drive me, we'll do a weekend trip, whatever. And so there's nothing wrong with owning a car, but coming from the United States where, basically you don't have a car, you're a bum. I remember literally taking midnight walks around my city in the US just to clear my head after the day, just to generate a lot of ideas by walking around. People on multiple occasions would drive by and roll down their window and shout at me what a loser I was for not having a car. I said, I have a car, it's a lot better than your car. But there's that social stigma of you have to do this, you have to do that. And so if you're going to go to a certain place that's maybe too similar to where you're from, I think you're going to maybe have some of that same stigma. Whereas you go to the places that we're talking about, you're going to totally change and say, all right, what's actually important to me now that I'm in Malaysia, which feels totally different from where I'm from. By the way, it doesn't even feel that much different, but so you can tell it's a different environment. Even though it may have a lot of the conveniences that you're used to, it just feels different in a sense. And so you're going to say, okay, what is it that I want? And it really encourages you to start thinking in a way that one of my ideas in Malaysia, for example, was, I think there's a service where you can rent a Range Rover and there's a guy who just drives you around and he sits and waits for you. And so rather than saying, I need to have a car and you're paying for this dramatically marked up import duties on cars in places like Malaysia, okay, how can I solve this problem in a better way? And you start to think, all right, maybe this is what I would enjoy more, is just having a driver. When I started doing road trips during and somewhat after the pandemic in Malaysia when we were there in 2020, it was really nice to say, you know what, instead of flying, we're going to get this great Mercedes van and we're going to drive 3 or 4 hours and go somewhere nice with family and friends. And I think that kind of mindset of opening up is something that you're going to do when you put yourself in a more emerging place. There is a mindset shift. And this is the kind of stuff, whether it's freedom, whether it's mindset shift, I think is very valuable. Now, I understand this is not for everybody, but I certainly think if you're putting together your life, having some time in these kinds of countries is going to give you access to a lot of new things that you probably haven't considered. You can probably figure out new ways to make money, new ways to invest, and you're going to generate a lot of experiences which I think are highly valuable for every nomad capitalist. Could I afford to go and live in Monaco? Sure. Do I want to live in Monaco and be around everybody else and have, quite frankly, what I believe is not that great of service from the times I've been in Monaco? I'm going to overpay for the name brand. I just quite frankly don't want to do that. I'm all about getting value. I'm all about finding places that interest me personally, and that's the freedom that comes with the nomad capitalist lifestyle. If someone thinks that living in Bogota rather than Miami is down, then so be it. To me, it's all about freedom. It's all about choice. It's all about opportunities, and that's why these cities fascinate me. So people ask, Andrew, how do I get the most out of Nomad Capitalist? How do I begin my Nomad Capitalist journey? The first thing people do is they start right where you're at. They watch YouTube, they listen to podcasts, they read articles at nomadcapitalist.com. We've spent years creating thousands of pieces of free content so that you can get the vibe from someone who's actually done this, from someone who's actually been in your shoes. What they'll do next, they'll get a copy of the book. You can find it on Amazon. It costs a few bucks, and while it's not going to give you all the secrets, it's going to, again, give you more of the vibe. You're going to learn a lot of the things that I've learned. You're going to learn some strategies you can employ, and you're going to get a lot further in your journey. From there, if you are the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur investor, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com. You can click Become a Client. We're pretty busy these days, but we have availability to help a limited number of people who want to create a holistic plan, something that I think is so important. So if you want to do that, go to nomadcapitalist.com, click Become a Client, learn more about how it works and how we can help you.